just passing time. Talking about dreams that never fade. Skates on ice, we watch the parade. Life's a game and we're in the rink. Laughing hard, don't care
Hello,
what they
two word ladies.
Welcome back.
You've got Karen and
Angie.
there we go. I like that better. Last time I said your name, and I like it better when you say it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
moving forward.
Fine. I guess that's an extra word I gotta say every show.
Yeah. And I don't know. Do you think before we get into this, should we maybe mention how we just spent 30 minutes trying to figure out how to do an Instagram reel?
Yeah, we should mention that because it was a freaking shit show. Nothing makes you feel old like having teenagers watch you try to do something technology.
Yeah. I give my husband a hard time, but like I'm feeling it now. Yeah, I'm feeling it now.
Sheldon was kind of judgy. He had the judgy eyes
He did,
while
he
we were
did.
doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, because I asked him how to do something, and he said press this, and then that's what I had done, but it worked for him, and it didn't work for me, which I feel is kind of not fair. But anyways, so we have an Instagram page.
do
It's
now.
Two Word Ladies, if you look that up. There's absolutely nothing there, so you can find
leave
an
a
account with nothing on
comment.
it. Leave a comment to what? So we're
Love
gonna-
to see your material, two-board lady.
But I mean, you can't comment. You only can comment on a post. You can't comment on an account.
You can't just post on a post on an
I don't think so. Or maybe you could.
Sheldon, could you just leave a message? Can you look up Two Board Ladies on Instagram and see if you can leave a message?
No, that would be a
Sheldon's on
DM. Nobody else DM. Nobody else would see it though, right?
Well, I don't want to DM. I just want you to post something like Two Board Ladies. I love your
Rock.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Okay. Thanks, Sheldon.
Okay, and one more thing before we get into the rest of it is I had some feedback from my child about our comments about the noise level,
Yeah.
the level of the music, and how we needed to just like get over that.
I'm not going to though.
It was actually pissing them off how much we talked about how loud it was.
That's our page. Yeah.
Yeah, that's us, Two Board Ladies on Instagram.
Can you leave a message?
Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
No comments
So
yet.
please feel free to
Yeah.
comment.
Look at that, Sheldon. You need to comment. Tell us you love us. Okay.
So, I mean, I think I hear what they're saying about us complaining about the music.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm probably still going to say things from time to time.
Yeah.
Because even without the podcast, it was loud.
Yeah. 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 And then, I mean, I appreciate our, In My Basement Productions
Yes.
producer who was able to adjust a little bit of the sound. So it actually, when I listened back to the podcast, it didn't sound that bad. Whereas in real life, like in RL, it was cray-cray.
Whoa, if I had shut my eyes, I could have swore you were in your mid-20s.
I know. I feel it. So, well, no. So, I was going to say mentally I feel it. Lately, no.
No.
I don't know what age I'm feeling. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah. Oh, one other shout out. We talked about comments last week,
Yes.
and so I do want to shout out one of our listeners on YouTube, Sherry, who has been posting. And I'll be honest, I had not been checking YouTube because I always check Spotify. So just want to shout out, appreciate the comments and that you're listening. And
Did you see we have 18 subscribers on YouTube?
it's pretty crazy. Hey?
I don't know 18 people on YouTube.
No. So these are other people
I
who don't
know.
even know us,
It's
and that's
fantastic.
really exciting.
Yeah.
So fun stuff.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing we could mention is that it's taken us 45 minutes to get started on this podcast
Yeah.
today. We're hurting
Yeah.
mentally, I would say today.
Yeah.
So bear with us. We'll see what where the show takes us today.
It could go from hysterical laughter to tears. I could feel like I could cry at any minute. Like that's the kind of emotional. What's that called? Emotional
Range?
No.
Yo-yo?
boat. I don't know.
I don't know, you just did it with your
I don't know.
hands.
It's like a rocker.
Roller coaster?
Rocking chair. No. Roller coaster. Yes. Yeah. Emotional roller coaster. Yeah. Highs and lows.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a long day. It's been a long few weeks.
Yeah, the weekend was long for me, and we'll get into that in our weekend review
Yeah.
portion of the show, which I guess is coming up.
Yep. I
Like
mean, you
right
can start
now.
anytime. Let's go.
So much pressure. Weekend review! Weekend review! Weekend review! changed it up today.
Yeah, you did.
I
Well,
had
I-
nothing.
No, I was going to say the way you were working on it before we started, I thought it would be something a little better.
Holy shit, that was my A material. I've been saving that for 5 weeks. I'll do better in your next show.
All right.
All right.
So, how was your week?
My week was good, I think. Busy. Went out of town for hockey.
Hockey, hockey, hockey.
Yeah, so that was exciting. It was one of the bigger yearly annual tournaments in one of the larger towns near us. And it's my son's last year playing in that tournament because he moves up to U13 next year. So,
Aw.
yeah, kind of an awe.
Yeah.
So we bought a bunch of shirts or like a hoodie and a hat and stuff just to sort of commemorate it. And the big news for him, and I was very proud, and he was beaming, is he was an assistant captain on the team. So he was one of the older kids, and
Yeah.
he was pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
They were very competitive their first 2 games. So they lost both of those 5-3, and then in their last game they won by a large margin. And so it was a good way to end the day,
Yeah.
or like the tournament and the weekend. We were able to do some big city shopping.
Did you go to Walmart?
I did.
Did you
and
go to Canadian Tire?
E.T. Blue.
Ooh,
Oh,
what about Giant Tiger?
we did not do
Oh.
Giant Tiger, but I did buy a whole
Missing
bunch
out.
of cards, trading cards.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So that was exciting for me personally. And then, then we came back home and we had the holiday Monday to sort of rest up.
Yep.
So actually, there's a story I was going to share because it made Roy and I piss our pants last night. So
Like literally?
pretty close.
Ooh.
Pretty close. No, I mean, it doesn't take a lot anymore. A
Roy?
little bit of laughing. No, that's it. So we're playing this game, Telestrations, which is like a mix of telephone and Pictionary almost.
Yeah.
So you're given a card, you pick your thing you're gonna draw, you write the words, and on the next page you draw it, and then you push it to the next person. They have to guess what it is based on your drawing, so they write the word, then they pass it to the next person who draws it, then the next person writes what they think it was, and then you close the book and it goes back to the beginning.
Why have we not played this?
I don't know. We should play it. It's
Yeah,
funny. It's
it is
pretty funny.
funny.
Yeah. So one of the reasons I really like it is there's no winners and losers. So Alistair doesn't get all pissy when things don't go his way. And anyway, it's just an overall better
Yeah.
feeling in the house. So anyway, we're playing it a couple of rounds, and you know, some of them are way off and some of them are really good. But anyway, Abby gets one. And she writes the word, she draws her picture, we all switch books, and it gets to Roy, and I see Roy's face. It's kind of like eyebrows raised, a bit of a chuckle, and he's just like, okay. So anyway, he draws what, he writes the word that he thinks it is. So it passes to me, so I open it up, I'm like, cockatoo. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool that he specifically guessed cockatoo when he's
Yeah.
seen a bird or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I drew this bird with really long tail feathers. I pass it to Alistair, and he writes super parrot or something. Anyway, so anyway, Abby opens it and she shows us that the first thing she gets is cockatoo, and then she shows us her drawing. So initially, my eyes are drawn to the bird, and then I look up, and there's a cock and balls and an addition sign with the number 2. I fucking lost it. And she's like, well, isn't that what you think? And I'm like, no. But it was just like this coming of age story
Yeah.
for me, where I'm just like, she's 15.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's not a little kid anymore. And I really liked that, you know, Roy didn't make a big deal of it. We just had a
Yeah.
really good laugh as a family. And yeah, I don't know.
That is
it was,
very cool.
I
Yeah.
really enjoyed that. So that was our big crescendo to our week was Abby in that game. But it's funny. Oh, sorry, I just spit on you.
No, you're good. I'm thirsty.
Every time we play that game, Abby got booby traps one time when we were playing it, big giant breasts were drawn. She's loving the anatomy in terms of putting connections together.
Yeah, why not?
So yeah,
It's genius.
It is. It worked, right? He knew right away what it was. Yeah. Other than that, work.
You missed out on our bartending evening.
What? What bartending evening? I was at HVDC's.
You
thing.
worked the bartending with me. You worked the bar with me.
Oh yeah, I did that with you. I thought you meant I missed it.
No, I
So
said you
missed
missed
telling
saying it. Like, what are you talking about?
Holy shit, this is gonna be a long one, guys. Like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, so we worked bartender as a fundraiser for the travel club and went pretty good, made some money. And you know, I could just do that all night. Like seriously, I have no issue standing beside the bar and just
No.
like
You're shooting the shit with the people who come
Yeah.
up for whatever reason. They come out
And
of
it's
my shell a
easy
little
money.
bit, and yeah,
yeah.
and you make good money. And then they were super, super generous.
Yes.
Where they had leftover
Prime rib
prime
roast.
rib roast, and then auctioned them off, and the people there were great. And we got $300
Yep.
extra for that. So it's a
Yep.
big thank you to the group that was running that.
Yep.
It was pretty
It's
awesome.
much appreciated.
Yep.
And yeah.
Heard it
no,
went
was
till
really good.
12:30 though. It was a good.
Oh,
it was
did
a late
it?
night. Yeah. So.
God. Yeah, I was headlong before
Oh
then.
yeah. Well before then.
I feel for Becky and Heather. They always seem to take the late shifts, and I feel bad because, like,
So yeah, it's
I'm not
another
doing it.
shout out to Becky and Heather.
Yeah. Appreciate them.
Big time.
Yeah,
Big time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's that. Yeah, well, that was one part we shared. I didn't have. I don't really have anything from the weekend. I worked, and then I worked some more. And you know, it was one of those annoying things where it's like, you know, you go in and you think, oh, I just have a few hours, and then it ends up being a full day, and then it's like, okay, tomorrow I only have a couple of hours, and it is like you only do 3 or 4 hours, but then it's like you come home and you don't want to do anything else, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
Oh, yeah.
I literally come home, and it's like 1 o'clock. I still have the whole day, but I do nothing.
Well,
I
you
come
use your
home.
mental capacity.
I crashed. So I had this like, well, I didn't really have a long weekend, but the long weekend, Monday I didn't do anything, didn't do work, but I also, well, no, that's not true. I did some work, but on my laptop. But anyways,
You need boundaries, lady.
I'm working on them. But yeah, I just like I had all these great ideas that I was going to do this and this, and then at one point Kate was like, "Oh, are we going to do?" Oh, that's what it was. She's like, "Do you want to work on Gabby's room? Because we're going to bring the futon from the basement, put it into Gabby's room, and turn it into an office, and take the bed from Gabby's room and put it into the basement.
nice
So
idea.
then that way we could have a sitting area, or you could lay it down if you have company, right?"
Mhm.
And Kate was all going, "Oh, do you want to do it?" And I just looked at her and went, "No." And she stands there looking at me, and I'm like, "I don't have it in me. Like, I just don't." So, yeah. And then I was kind of happy because I needed to do laundry, and I said, "Is the washing machine free?" And they said no. One Kate had stuff in the dryer, Lauren had stuff in the washer, or vice versa. I don't know what it was. And I'm like, "Okay, well, could you guys rinse it or do whatever so I can use it?" And they were like, "No, don't feel like it." I'm like, "All right." It was just like we were so enabling each other. It was not a good day. Our weekend, it was just like, ugh.
I mean, you're allowed to have those for sure.
I know, but what
right?
happens
Give
when you're
yourself
having them
some
every
grace.
weekend?
Well, then you have to look inward.
Yeah.
Maybe ask the questions.
Yeah.
But I mean, and maybe we can ask those questions in the next
Yes.
segment because I don't think we have a whole lot chalked up here. So, okay, well, maybe on that note,
Yep.
we'll take a break, and I think what's coming up in the next segment will be a surprise for everybody,
Yeah,
including
including
us. So,
Alrighty.
we'll talk soon.
Attention collectors and enthusiasts looking for the ultimate custom collectibles? It's Patch Madness. Custom trading cards for sport to non-sport, relic cards, and even stickers. If you can dream it, we can create it. Reach out today at twoboardladies24@gmail.com for your personalized masterpiece. Patch Madness, where your passion becomes a code.
Welcome back. Two Board Ladies here with you at the rec center, watching kids skate to songs I don't recognize.
This is your daughter. You don't
Well,
recognize
this
it?
is my daughter, but what song is this?
I don't know. You don't
You
know?
tell me. No.
Well, it's just like an instrument.
Is this like a rando dance that she has to do?
It looks like it's choreographed.
Well, no.
Like, she's not making it up.
Like I meant a rando, like you know how they do like the
Elevator
salsa and the swing
yes,
and
yes,
the
yes.
waltz.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe this is like the swing or something, because I think she said Because she said she forgot all the moves to her first routine, so
Maybe that's what this is then,
Maybe.
because I haven't heard this. I heard it last week.
I
when
wasn't
you,
here.
No, you weren't here.
Where was I
You weren't
last
here.
week?
Oh, we had no. Did we?
What?
See, we were here last week. It was the week before. Right?
I've never heard this song before.
Yeah, no, I have. Maybe it was the
Anyway.
week you were gone. I heard it.
Maybe. It's beautiful,
Yeah.
nonetheless.
Yeah, very catchy.
Great moves
Yeah.
she's doing. Okay, so we've decided we're gonna talk about ghost stories and crazy dreams, which I'm not sure I have any, but Karen's gonna kind of lead us off, and then we'll just see where the topic takes
Well,
us.
and should we? Maybe we should explain why we're doing this because
it, yeah.
we literally don't know what to talk about. This is the part that we're killing ourselves. I feel like we could be doing so much better if we planned ahead. But then I also feel that that takes away
We've
from the
been told
spontaneity.
specifically
Spontane-
not
spontaneity.
spontaneity.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spontaneousness?
No.
No, spontaneity.
Yeah.
We've been told specifically not to plan.
Yeah. But then it makes it hard sometimes to come up with stuff.
Well, I mean, we talk nonstop to one another, but
We
it might
do.
not be stuff that other people care about.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure any of this is so far has been anything anybody's cared. Okay. So
Okay.
start us off. If we don't stay on topic, that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a ghost story
Okay.
that happened to me personally. I don't remember it, but my parents
Oh my
told me it happened to me. Come on, it happened when I was 4. So it freaked my parents out.
Well, okay, I'm sure.
Okay. All right, so let me get into it before you lose your shit.
What?
Okay. So
Please do.
okay. Remember people who just joined us for the first time? I grew up in Ireland.
Yes.
And when in Ireland, we lived, our first home, we lived like a half a mile from the village, right? Or it was less than a mile from the village, and where I went to school. In the village. We lived outside of the town. It's not a town, it's a village, it's one street. So it's a village.
Village.
Yeah. So, anyways, we lived not very far. So we lived in like a row of houses, and the older kids would take, like mom, you know, when I first started going to school, mom would walk me, and then the older kids, you know, once I got the rhythm of it, I would walk with the older kids to and from school. Well, one day, I came home, and then they would always bring me home, right? And bring me to the door, and then mom would know, like, whatever. Well, anyways, I guess supposedly one day, I came home and by myself. And mom was like, you know, why are you by yourself? Like, where are the girls? Well, like, why? And I said, she's like, you shouldn't be walking home by yourself. And she was upset because, like, 4 years old walking along the
that's
road.
really young.
Yeah. So I said I wasn't by myself. And she said, well, who is with you? Because there's nobody here. And I said, Mary Teresa. So Mary Teresa is the name of my dad's sister who died when she was, I think she was 8. And she was killed walking home from school by a doctor on the way to an emergency.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So now, how do you feel about laughing at that?
Such an asshole. Well, I obviously don't feel good about it.
So, I said I want to marry Teresa. So now I'm 4. I wouldn't
Did
have
you
known.
know?
Well, I was 4 years old. I wouldn't have known Dad's sister who died when, you know, he was 10.
It's fair, yeah. I'm just
Yeah,
asking.
I know,
Our
which is
listeners
weird.
want to know.
I know. So, anyways, I guess Mum, you know, kind of freaked Mum out, and then, you know, this is from what I remember them saying. But I guess this went on for a little while, where I would leave and say I was walking home at Mary Teresa, and then they asked, like, Mum and Dad were like, well, you know, what did she say or what did she do? And supposedly I said she held my hand. She told me not to play on the side of the road, and she was just all about making sure I got home safely. And I did every day.
So that's incredible.
Yeah.
Scary at the same time because ghosts scare me. But why did the other kids just let you go by yourself?
Well, I took off before they did because they were all supposed to be waiting. Like, there was a whole group of kids that lived in the
Okay.
row, and they'd all come home together, and I would just take off.
That's so cool. Did you ever see her again, like as you got older?
No, and I don't remember it, but I just remember it, like, it did freak out You
Yeah.
know, my parents.
But maybe a
and
little
it
comforting.
stuck with me.
Like
Well, I never scared me. Like, you know, even now thinking about it, I just think it's really cool that somebody was there looking out for me, right?
yeah, like, it's really neat.
Yeah.
Ghosts in general scare me, but that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Like, how did your dad feel? Like, was it?
You know, I haven't talked to them about it in years.
You should
so
bring it
I
up.
should,
You should
yeah.
bring them on.
Well, maybe, you know, because they're hoping to come out for Lauren's graduation, so
Good time.
we will have. Oh yeah, but they'll be here for a few weeks.
'Kay.
So we'll have it around the fireplace because there'll be no ice.
that'll be good.
Yeah,
That'll be good.
Yeah. So yeah, so there was that, and then kind of on that same vein, my brother is 3 years younger than me.
Hi,
Hello,
Isla.
CD. And he's 3 years younger than me. And when he started talking, he started calling me Ninny, right? And so we went to visit my nana, who didn't live that far away, so we used to see her quite regular, and that was my dad's mom. And when we went there, Darren called me Ninny, and Nana got upset and said to Mum and Dad, like, why would you have him call her that? And Mum said, like, we didn't. He just started calling her that. And that's what Mary Teresa called my dad.
Oh my god.
Because they were really close in age, and they were like, you know, they were really tight, and
Yeah.
as, you know, brother in age, because they were next to each other kind of
That's
thing.
crazy.
Yeah, so it just, you know, like sometimes when you hear kids talking about stuff and you think it's an imaginary friend or whatever else, it's just an imaginary, maybe, you know, I
There's
believe there
something
is
there.
stuff going on and going around.
You've got some connections. Do you remember? And I don't talk about this a lot because it was very, I don't know, it was intense for me. But do you remember telling me about that dream you had?
I do. Yeah.
I guess I can't just leave it there.
Well, I can tell it if you want.
Yeah,
If
sure.
you don't want, if you
Yeah.
want to tell it, you can.
No, I mean, and I don't know that I remember it all, right? Like it
Yeah.
stuck with me. I had miscarriage,
Yeah.
and then you had a dream. Okay, maybe you tell it because, like, I just remember getting, like, feeling really warm inside after you told me, but I was
Yeah.
upset at the same time. Do you need help? Okay.
Hold on, we're taking a
Go
quick
ahead.
break. So my dream was, years back, Angie had shared with me that she had a miscarriage, and it was quite early on, so they hadn't really told anybody they were pregnant. And then, a few years later, Alistair came along, and so I had a dream after Alistair was born that I was in like this train station kind of thing, and I was sitting there and I was taking care of Alistair, and Abby was there as well, and we were waiting to go somewhere, and then and I don't remember all of the details, but I just remember this young boy came up to me, and Abby was doing something, and he said, "It's okay, I'll watch Alistair." And I said, "Oh, well, thank you, like, but I'm looking after him." And he's like, "No, I'll take care of my little brother." And I was like, and then I remember being cognizant enough in the dream where it was like, okay, this is Alistair's older brother, and I completely accepted it, and it was just normal, and it took me a long time to tell you, like, it was years, because I just, like, I felt really good about it, but I didn't, it's hard
Yeah.
to bring up something like that, so.
There was a real. I'm so happy you did. Like there was this I don't know, this sense of comfort and that they were okay.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get upset in the rec center, so I'm not going to. I'm gonna use every ounce of energy I have to not. But like there was just a sense of comfort there
Yeah.
that they were okay, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, while I'm not a big believer in ghosts or dreams, there are things happen in mysterious ways.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and maybe growing up in Ireland, it's like, it's just very natural. Like, everybody accepts that there's fairies, and like, and you might not believe,
love it.
You might
Yeah.
not believe in them, but you do not do anything to disrupt a fairy tree or a fairy hill or any of that. Like, anything
just
that
bad
is identifies.
juju.
Well, yeah, so
Yeah.
so much so. Now, I don't know if you listen. Well, you probably don't, but I listen to an Irish podcast. There's the two Johnnies, and they were talking about somebody had sent in this thing where there was a motorway being planned down, I can't remember, maybe it was in Cork or something, and the motorway meant, the design of it meant to go through, like, to tear down a fairy hill,
Oh.
right? And the locals went crazy and said you can't do that. And so like they did petitions, there was letters, like everybody was like, no, you can't disrupt the fairy. Whether you believe them or not, you do not take on that bad juju.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
How does something get denoted as being a fairy hill?
So in Ireland, because there's so much, what's the word? I don't know, like BC, you know, like there's a lot of history where it was, what's the word? Pagans, right? Pagan
yeah,
rituals
yeah,
and
okay, yeah.
whatnot. So there is areas in Ireland where there's these, and I'm horrible for words, because God forbid I say the right words. But anyways, there's these hills or circles. So like you could have a circle of trees, right?
Yep.
Big tall trees, and then it'll have a wall of stone around it, and then you'll have so then you have the hill coming up and the trees are all around the top of it, right? And so our friends growing up, there was a fairy tree and there, or fairy hill on their property, and so we used to go up there, and I never felt nervous. Like we used to go up there, we'd play around it, and I remember being a teenager and carving our initials in, you know, Karen loves Thomas, stuff like that, right? And but then, so anyways, but then you hear of people, like if somebody decided to like take down the woods or take down a tree from something like that,
Yeah.
shit would start happening to them. Like bad shit would start happening. Now granted, maybe that person, just shit happens. But it's really weird how it always happens
Coincidentally,
after they took down the fairy fort, right? So there's hills, there's even just like bushes that are identified, certain type of trees are identified with fairies. And so, it's just, and I don't know, like, I don't think that that's something that's gone away. And yeah, it's still, like, when I was home this summer, you know, it was with my friend, and she was the one that, you know, when we were kids, they had the fairy tree on their property, and we were talking about it, and she talked about stuff that had happened since. She talked about somebody that had gone there in the last few years, felt something weird, and got a bad feeling and left, because I can't remember what it was he was going to do. And then, like there's just been stuff that you just don't mess with. Why mess with something?
Why do you want to poke the bear?
Don't mess with it.
Don't poke the bear.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
go on. Building the highway through
Oh,
Cork.
you God. Yeah, so they petitioned, everybody went crazy, and then they ended up going around it. But now they say, like, I guess it wasn't necessarily because of the fairies.
Yeah.
It was like ended up being a different plan or whatever. But yeah, all the locals feel that it was because they were listened to. That they just didn't want to mess with that juju.
You know, why do you want to bring that on yourself,
Yeah.
right? Risk it. If you can work around it, it's probably in everybody's best interest.
I think so.
You know
Yeah.
what that makes me think of? Did you ever watch the movie Eurovision?
Oh yeah.
And then she prays to the little fairies in their little houses
Oh,
on the
yeah,
side
yeah,
of the hill. And then she thinks it's them that blew up the boat. Oh, it's a
Yeah.
good movie.
It is a good movie.
I hadn't thought about that one in a while.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So on that vein, then, are there any things like that in Canada that you could think of? I've been trying and I cannot.
Like things that have happened,
No,
or
no,
just
like
like
things
Canadian
that
things?
people would, you wouldn't want to mess with that because why would you do that? So like, on a far lesser note, when you think about superstitions or whatever, you know, when you watch a hockey game.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about I was watching Team Canada this weekend actually, and you never ever bring up when someone is having a shutout. Right? Or a no-hitter,
Yeah.
right? Or the way you put your equipment on. So all kinds of like sporty type of superstitions, right?
Yeah.
Not as cool or as far back as the fairies, but certainly there's some superstition there. Like, why would you risk it? And I do really believe that in baseball. Like, if someone's throwing a no-hitter, why do you need to bring it up? You don't need to bring it up.
Well, that's like Murphy's Law,
Yeah,
right? Like you
yeah.
say something and it jinxes you, right? Like, and you got to admit, like Murphy's Law, we're going back to the Irish. Like, if you think about how the Irish have touched the world for a country that would fish, I don't know, it's tiny in comparison to anything in Canada. And I have no concept of size, so I can't tell you where it fish in Canada. I'm guessing it's bigger than PEI, because you could drive around
You know
PEI
what's so
in a
funny
day.
is I was like, is it the size of PEI? I'm like,
Yeah, I don't know.
But maybe like Newfoundland.
Maybe. Yeah.
Newfoundland's pretty big.
Yeah, it might
I
be
don't know.
might be way bigger than Ireland actually if you look at the map. I don't know.
You know what? Why don't our listeners take a look and let us know? And if we don't get a comment about it, we'll be sure to let everybody know next week.
We'll do some googling. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's kind of, and that's, you know, if you and it all came about because of like the potato famine and stuff, but like really, the Irish really did touch so many different parts of the world. One of the funny jokes is that you could probably go into any city around the world and find an Irish pub. You know,
That's so true.
Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, so there was that, and then there was other stuff that has happened, and like to family. My mom has stories. Her brother passed away, and they were really, really close, and she didn't get to go to his funeral. And then that night, he came to her, like she saw him, and it scared her. And then it was only after the fact that, you know, she thought about it was him coming to say goodbye to her. But she could describe what flowers he was holding in his hand and what he was wearing, and she wasn't at the funeral. Like, she wasn't allowed to go. And she described exactly how
Maybe
it was.
it's your family. Maybe it's your parents.
I know Granny then had, remember Granny, she was outside one time, I don't know if she was hanging out the washing or in the garden or something, and she swore she heard a banshee, and then she found out her brother died around the same time that she heard the banshee. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the Donnellans.
No, that's on the right side. The right being WRIGHT. That's on mom's side.
The good side.
The right side.
I was thinking, for me, sometimes it smells. So I've never really seen anybody or anything like that. But sometimes when I'm feeling down, there was a certain smell my Oma had. And it's just so random when I'll smell it and then I think about her. And I didn't get to spend a lot of time with her for the last few years. Excuse me. And I always feel quite a bit of guilt about that. But sometimes, you know, I'll smell that and I just sort of feel like she's there and
Yeah.
she's watching and she's cool. Because she didn't really get to see she met Abby once or twice maybe, and Abby was only a year old, so never met Alistair, and I think she would have got a real kick out of him. So every once in a while when I smell her smell, it's kind of like she's around. So
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
well,
I believe in that, totally.
I appreciate Karen carrying that segment.
Well, I think there's pretty much anybody from Ireland could carry that segment. It wouldn't be an issue.
We'll take a break.
Yeah.
And we'll come back, and I'm excited to
Who
find out
knows?
what we're talking
Who
about.
knows? Okay.
Feeling stuck? At Coaching with Karen, we believe the answers you need are already within you. Whether it's life, wellness, or career guidance, Karen is here to help you uncover your path and move forward with confidence. Because a better tomorrow starts with the right support today. So visit us at coachingwithkaren@gmail.com to take your first step. And that's coaching with a K.
And welcome back to Board Ladies. So we've had a little bit of this, a little bit of that,
Yes.
and now we're going to have a little bit of
Scary questions. So we talked about scary stories.
yes.
So let's talk about scary questions. So for me, personally, the worst question and scariest question in the entire world is what's for supper?
I
hate
hate
it.
it.
Oh my god, it makes me so angry. I don't know if anybody else experienced this, but I can feel it in my stomach, and it's hot. Like the hate, the anger, and and then it just comes up my esophagus, and I just want to freak out. And it's always my son. It's always Alistair who's asking me it, and I just fuck. And it turns out I've got 3 go-to meals.
Yeah.
It's like buttered chicken,
Yeah.
pasta,
Yeah.
and no, it's 2. It's 2.
Tacos.
Oh, I do
Yeah,
tacos,
we do tacos, yeah,
regularly.
yeah.
Burgers and steak in the summertime.
Yeah.
Because I only like to eat that barbecue.
Yeah.
Barbecue, summer's a lot easier. Everything just goes on the barbecue. And
Yeah.
there's very little cleanup.
Dishes, yes.
Oh, it's the best
yes.
part.
I love the summer. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I completely agree. I work in a food store,
Oh yeah.
so I somehow seem to have to know what we're eating every day. So, I mean, now granted, so here, this is me kind of being torn. So, you know, weekdays, what are we going to have for supper? You try to think of it the day ahead of time. You know, some people are great planning the week. We're not that family. We've never been that family.
I'm not that family.
So we are day to day, which is the worst because you spend so much more money that way. So much more money.
Oh my god.
Because you're eating what you feel like, not what's on sale.
Well, and like every time I go to the store, it's not like I only buy what I want
Oh, I
for
know.
supper either.
Yeah,
right?
you're not getting the ingredients.
No.
Yeah. You're like, oh, that's on sale. That's a good price. I should get that.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
So-
Maybe we'll have that tomorrow.
So Roy, shout out to my husband because this morning I'm like, fuck, there's a pork pork tenderloin, but it's frozen solid, and I usually like to slow cook those. So I'm like, oh, we'll do that tomorrow. He's like, okay, just go get anything in the store, and I will cook it tonight because you got skating. And I was like, okay,
Nice.
that's awesome. What do I buy?
Pork tenderloin?
Pork. Pork chop. But
Yeah,
I'm
but
just like,
pork
why
is
did I
like-
do that?
Because pork is cheap
Well,
compared
that's
to beef.
exactly why I buy
Yes. It's so much cheaper than beef or
Woo!
chicken.
The kids just did a group skate and it was real great.
Yeah.
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 A lot of boot scoot and boogieing happening there.
Yeah, but no, I agree. Like pork is go-to, but our problem is the kids don't like pork chops. Chris and I like pork chops.
Why
but
don't
the
they
kid-
like pork chops?
I don't know. They're not, and like they take them more when they're in the barbecue, but in the wintertime, they don't want to have anything to do with them.
So is it the bone? Like, would they have just a pork cutlet?
No, it's just that, but they will eat pork tenderloin, but that's usually seasoned
Yeah,
or
yeah.
marinated and whatnot. But yeah, they're just, so that kind of reduces our meals, because I'm not one to make 2 or 3 meals. I don't try to accommodate everybody.
No, I'm not a restaurant.
Yeah.
My parents used to say the kitchen is closed or this isn't a restaurant. Hi, Evelyn. I'd love to pass you your water. Where is it?
Are you afraid of Sheldon? Are you afraid of Sheldon? He's a nice guy. He's not
He
scary.
was laughing at us earlier.
Yeah.
Where was I?
Pork. Oh, your
Pork.
parents' meals.
My
Yeah,
parents?
you said your parents used to say that we're not going to cook.
Oh
more-
yeah, kitchen's closed. This isn't a restaurant.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, like what's the problem? It's one more meal. And now I'm just like, oh my god,
Yeah.
I'm gonna murder someone.
Yeah.
You guys asked me for something else.
Yeah.
That being said, my mom used to make pork chops a lot. Now that I think back.
Yeah.
A
I remember
lot.
having pork chops, and actually one of the things that was big in Ireland too was lamb chops. When we were,
I've never had lamb.
I remember we used to eat them as a kid, and then Chris bought them one time, and I'm like, ugh, I didn't care for it. I mean, I ate it, but I shouldn't say ugh. I wouldn't choose to eat it again. And maybe it was the cut, but in Ireland, like, it was always fresh, right?
Yeah,
Where it was
makes a big
here, it was
difference.
frozen, and maybe that was part of it. But the whole what's for dinner. Now, granted, the kids are old enough now that they're cooking meals and stuff, and Lauren no longer works on Mondays. And so they said, I can do suppers on Mondays,
Oh my
right?
god, Lauren is pretty
Yeah,
amazing.
but they don't though.
They don't.
Like, well, I shouldn't say they don't.
Love
They do
Lauren.
sometimes. They do sometimes. But like not if we don't have the ingredients in the house, because if they have to take something out of the freezer, it's not happening.
Well, yeah, no.
Because we don't remember that, right?
Yeah.
So Chris on the weekends though, it's like the opposite. Chris is like, what are we going to eat this weekend, right? And so then it's like he's finding recipes and he's doing this, and then it becomes the whole weekend about that meal. And I'm like, I'd be happy with tacos on the weekend. I don't need like a
Oh, I
whole new recipe.
know.
Now, granted, he's not asking me to do it, but
Don't
I'm
you
just
feel
like,
there's sort of like this, like, if you don't, you kind of feel like maybe you should have helped. Like, I just,
sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah. But then I'm usually the one that cleans up after.
okay,
You know,
well, that's fair
so-
too. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's funny, our families are very similar, and like, everything always seems to be so epic. And so, for me, and I'm not looking to appropriate anybody's culture by saying this, so I hope nobody takes offense, but spirit animals, Roy once told me that mine would be a bear, because I take the road of least resistance. So the bear's gonna hang out at the dump, I'm gonna find the easiest thing to do. I actually got bears tattooed on my leg because of it. But I mean, it's factual, because like, man, why does like everything always, work is busy, life is busy, kids are busy. Why can't we just simplify some of the things? I'm a big fan of Fend for Yourself.
Me too.
It used to be Fend for Yourself Fridays, but now we don't even use alliteration anymore because it happens so many times during the week. No, I love my kids so much, and I put a lot of effort in elsewhere, but I just can't handle the supper thing.
Yeah. Yesterday it was the holiday, right? And then again, I wasn't capable of doing anything, and so then I was in the kitchen and I was making a sandwich because I decided I was going to have a sandwich for supper,
Yeah,
right?
you
I was
should,
quite
yeah.
happy and content with a sandwich, and then Sheldon comes out of Lauren's room and says, Lauren wants to know what's for supper. And I'm like, Lauren can get off her ass
Lauren
and make
set
supper.
Sheldon up.
And so, and I was like, I'm having a sandwich. I don't know about you guys. So yeah. You know what? But you know what's also a go-to for us that Chris does not appreciate? Popcorn for supper. I love popcorn, and I've said it to him every now and again because the kids and I will definitely have popcorn for supper, and I'll be like, Chris, you want some popcorn for supper? He's like, that's not a meal, Karen. I'm like, come on, it could be tonight.
Yeah.
It's fiber. Put some M&Ms in it, and you got your
Oh yeah, have a glass of orange
Yeah.
juice. You got your fruit.
orange juice.
Why not?
Well, maybe wine.
Grapes. There you
Yeah,
go. You got your
grapes.
fruit.
Orange juice and popcorn. What are you, crazy?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
love
don't know.
it. I just feel like this was
Food.
maybe like a whiny episode for us.
A little bit, yeah.
I think we were
But it
both
kind of
feeling.
goes in the mood of what's
Yeah.
happening right now. Yeah.
We didn't want it to be a depresso thing, but I think we're both kind of like maybe just a little tired, a little run down, a lot happening, pressures at work and whatnot. So, yeah.
It's-
You want to hear a funny story? Maybe
I'd
that'll
love
help
to.
us. So
I'd love
last
to.
night, no, not last night. Sorry, Sunday night, relaxing with Roy, right? Having maybe a couple of drinks or whatever, and he's like rubbing my head, and all of a sudden, this the TV just it was like the sound went like really slowly quiet like that, and I freaked. I panicked. I thought I was going deaf. I'm like, this is it. I lost the sense of sound or hearing. He's like, I turned down the remote. I'm like, oh my god. I was like, why don't deaf people tell us this? That this is what happens.
I don't think it happens that fast.
I was in no state of mind to figure out the details, but I was truly concerned I was deaf at that point.
Oh God. That is funny.
And then
That is funny.
one of the teachers here at the rec center just told me today, you should really get Alistair's hearing checked. Because they did the testing and she's like, I don't know. He's like, she didn't completely fail, but he didn't do good. So now, maybe that was like
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Maybe that's your guardian angel saying, look after your kid.
You want to go deaf? Because this is how it happens. Get kids checked. Oh yeah, I freaked out.
That's funny.
Oh my god.
You know, I remember when the twins were babies. So, yeah, it was like, what, 14 years ago? And we had company on the weekend that had come in from the city and they spent the weekend with us. So they left like the Sunday afternoon. And then, what? Okay,
Nice.
nice.
Cool. Kate did a leg lunch.
What was I saying?
You had friends over.
Oh yeah,
They did-
so we have family and friends for the weekend. They left Sunday afternoon, and so then the twins went to sleep, and then I fell asleep on the couch, right? And so nice Sunday afternoon, having a nap. Everybody's relaxing. The house is reasonably tidy because we'd had company and
Yeah.
everything tied up after us. So then I wake up from this nap, and I had a headache like I've never had a headache.
Oh.
Like it was just like I thought I was dying. I tried to stand up. I couldn't stand up. Chris tried to help me to bed. He was literally had to carry me towards the bed. So I'm laying down on the bed and I'm holding my head, just screaming, "I hurt so bad! It hurts so bad!" And then I fell asleep. And so I made an appointment. And as all this was happening, right, in my mind, what was I thinking? We don't
What's for
have a
supper?
will.
Oh.
Chris is not going to be able to take care of these kids. Like, he needs help. We need to figure out how to get Chris help for when I die, because
You're
I'm
dying?
dying. Because headache was that bad.
Crazy.
And so I come out of this thing and the headache had eased off, and I wake up and eased off, and I'm like, Chris, we need to get this will sorted out. Like, we need to talk, we need to figure all this stuff out. And he was just like, what? And I'm like, I seriously am like, what would you do if I died? What would you do? And he's like, well, I'd figure it out. I'm like, I don't know.
I'm worried.
Not that I don't have faith in him. He's a very hands-on father. He
Yeah.
changed diapers and all of that. Like, we shared that. But yeah, that was crazy. So then when I made an appointment and I went to the doctor, and yeah, it was one of those strange situations where I was actually able to get in that week. And so I explained to them what had happened, and then I was worried. Like, do I have a tumor?
It's not a tumor.
And so I'm explaining to her, and I says, like, I ended up falling asleep, and she's like, no, you passed out from the pain. And so then I had to keep like a log of headaches and for like
wow.
a couple of months, but I never experienced anything like that. That's not true. I did experience one more.
Stop
But
lying.
like, yeah, I don't know what it was. It was just like,
What made you
it was
think about
wicked.
this story right
I
now?
have no idea. I have
This
no
is
idea.
how our minds work.
What were we talking about?
Menopause.
What were we talking about?
No, that was last episode. That was
No,
last
this is
segment.
this one.
That's the segment?
Yeah. Seriously, why did I think about that?
I don't know.
That's weird.
Did you just want to talk about it?
Oh
'Cause
no,
we
maybe
can
it's because
talk
you thought
it.
about your hearing.
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah, then it took me to the headache, where I thought I was dying. Yeah, you thought you were going deaf or losing sense of sound, and I thought I was dying. So I had to one-up you. I think that's what it comes down to. I had to one-up you. God forbid.
And you win because
Yeah.
you
I
almost died.
died. Yeah.
All I thought about is, this is how it happens, and I'm gonna write a book so everybody who has the hearing knows what happens when you lose it.
It slowly goes.
Like it was like someone literally just turned your volume down.
And do they slow it down at the same point because you're making it?
Am I making it?
Yeah,
sound-
so like
no,
it
no.
slowed it down.
For some reason, when I talk quieter, I slow down. All right. You know, I think
All
I
right.
just need to say thanks to everyone for sticking around. Next episode will be. You know what? We'll get into this in our wrap up
Next one,
segment.
yeah, okay.
We'll be right back.
Bye-bye.
All right. Welcome back to the wrap up portion of our. Two Board Ladies podcast for today. It's been a wild ride
Yep.
today. Abby just came by the boards and reminded me to ask you this question. Based on the story I told you earlier about telestrations, would you think what she wrote, would that have come to your mind to draw?
I couldn't draw birds, so I probably would have done something like that.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
I never would have thought
I
of
can't draw.
cock and balls. You
Well,
can
that's
draw.
pretty easy. Like, it's just like, two circles and a.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what she lacked a lot of detail, which I'm thankful
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
Okay, she'll be happy to know that
Yeah.
because she's super pissed off. Well, not pissed off, but she's just like irritated with me that I wouldn't have thought to draw
Yeah.
that. But
Well, yeah. I wouldn't even, like, you say cockatiel, and I have an idea of what that looks like in my head, but I don't know if that's what it looks like, so I wouldn't trust
Yeah.
myself to draw it.
fair. But like, I mean, I had to draw it. He wrote cockatoo. I flipped the page and I had to draw it. Not one time was like, yes, cock and balls. This is where it's all gonna pay off. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So where I started to go in the last segment is you lied on our last podcast
Yeah.
and said that you'd be here for the next few weeks, but you really won't. You're away next week.
Yeah, I have a conference.
So
Yeah.
I mean, that's important, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
we're
it's
not
work.
making money on this yet, so you need to still keep your
Oh,
job.
no, we did have somebody inquire about a commercial.
Yes, yeah, and we haven't heard back, so now I guess we need to follow up. You know, this has been a lot of fun. There are some people in town who are regular listeners,
Yeah.
and you know, even it goes absolutely nowhere. That's totally fine. Like, I'm having a lot of fun, and it's the same thing we'd be doing every single week anyway.
Yeah.
So, but back to
Yes.
you not being here. So we're gonna record on Thursday.
Yes.
So, but we're still gonna post it 1 week from
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
So,
that
yeah.
our regular listeners won't miss out on it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we promise to be prepared because we really won't have a weekend review
No.
segment. So we will actually put some effort
We
into.
could do like what we think our weekend review will look like, and then we can compare it the following week.
Oh, what would we call that
Ooh.
segment? It's like
Possible weekend review. Theoretical, we can review.
Forecasting a week. Why are you sticking your tongue out at me?
That's Laura, not me. Yeah, so no, that sounds good. Now, there's one thing that I have had in my head that I have wanted to talk about in the
Oh.
podcast since we first started doing it,
Okay.
and we've never brought it up because it's not something that's going to go anywhere. But I have to get it out because every time I
this.
get into my car, I think about it. And I
Okay.
told you already,
I don't remember it though. That's
I
what's so
don't-
fun about not having
I
any
know.
memory.
I cannot back up my car because my
Oh,
backup
yeah.
camera is out, and I didn't realize how much I relied on it.
Oh yeah.
Even though I preach to the kids when I'm teaching them how to drive, you don't use your backup camera, use your mirrors, and now it's like, oh, I can't tell how close I am.
Okay,
Like,
let's save this because I've got stories about our car in the city
Okay.
that it drives me fucking mental.
Yeah.
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 Okay. All right. So maybe Thursday. All right. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Good night. Oh, we still don't have a.
Oh, au revoir.
Au revoir. Yes. Thanks. Shout out to Brienne.
She made that comment on YouTube. That's why I didn't see it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But she commented on Spotify too.
Not that though.
No.
No,
Is she
I'm-
giving us extra streams because she's watching on both? I
Like-
think she's gone to YouTube now because you can actually have comments longer and like you can comment on comments, and you
Oh.
can't in Spotify.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's why she might have moved over to the YouTube
Okay, so
platform.
that's why I
Yeah.
didn't know that when we brought it up when we
Yeah.
were volunteering the
So,
other day.
au revoir.
Au revoir.
So we're sticking with Canadiana. Au revoir.
Yeah, but we're gonna
okay.
try different languages every week.
Okay,
All right then.
sounds good.
Au revoir.
Bye-bye.
Hatch plans that we'll never see. Frozen hair and a frosty kiss. In the ice, our secrets twist. Talking about dreams